was like amazing that that was happening, but I was like, wow, it took 25 years to get here. That's a long time. And so it's definitely helped a lot. And, you know, we talk about art and poetry all of the time now. So it's nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's awesome. Colette has a question. What has been the most impactful experience for you since Milk and Honey was published?
I think just meeting people who read the work and connect with it so much, because people always ask, they're like, oh my God, how does it feel? Like you're going all these places and doing all these things. You must like wake up just being overjoyed every day. And I'm like, not really. I mean, it's good. It's amazing. It's normal.
Yeah.
But I'm not like, this is crazy, because it's just, maybe because I'm on this train and it's going super fast and none of it feels real. That's the problem. I feel like it's all happening to like my twin sister. And she just like never shows up, so I have to show up for her and do the talking for her. But then I meet people and they're like, I love your work and this is what it did for me. And those are the moments where like all the emotions come out and I'm like, oh my God, this is important and I have to keep going. Yeah.
Unicorn wants to know, did you get any backlash or hate from your community because of writing about these issues? And if so, how do you deal with it? I myself am an aspiring novelist and poet, and the only thing holding me back from publishing is my fear from my conservative community.
Yeah, I get that. I think I remember a month before Milk and Honey was self-published, I couldn't sleep anymore. It was like consistent anxiety of like, what is gonna happen to me and what are people gonna think? There's no answer that's gonna be good enough. But you just have to ignore it, because what you're doing is so much stronger than that small group of people who are saying that you're too loud, it's unattractive, and it's not sexy, and you kind of, you know, like you just have to ignore it. I remember I used to perform about, a lot of my early work was about abuse and violence that's inflicted on women's bodies. And I was this little like 17-year-old, and every event that I went to, it's all I talked about, and people would roll their eyes at me and they'd be like, oh God, she makes everyone so uncomfortable. And I felt so unattractive. But I was like, no, like I have to tell the story. If you silence me, like you silence so many other people, then who's gonna tell it? And so you just have to tell it, because there's so much empty space that needs to be filled with stories like these.
That's beautiful, the way you talk about how by giving yourself permission, you give other people permission to show up with their vulnerability, with whatever it is that they're carrying, whatever their story is. And that's that you feel that sense of responsibility, not just to yourself, but to other people and to other women. That's amazing. I hear that you are working on short stories, screenplays, and songs. Do you compose music? Do you play an instrument? Can you share anything that you're working on right now?
I'm working on a play. I wouldn't even say songs, because I think I'm so terrible at it. And no one should ever have to hear me sing. That would just be a crime. I used to sing though, like I sang, and I played the harmonium for like 8 years.
I'm sure you sing.
No,
I have an instinct that you probably sing beautifully.
People keep saying that, and I'm like,
it's because there's such a musicality to the way that you speak. So I feel
that's what they say.
It would be hard.
So now I'm working on something.
Okay.
But I don't call them songs, because they've said the same thing. They're like, but it's the way that you sort of move and how the words sort of like leave your mouth and the rhythm of it, that this would be so amazing if it was something like audio. So I'm working on something related to that. I'm more excited about the play because it's coming together really quickly. I've performed so many shows, but I've never seen my work because I'm the one putting it on.
Right.
But I was in New York for about a week in New York Stage and Film. It's like this little workshop that I did for a week, and to put these poems in the mouths of other people and then be in the audience was so electrifying. Wow. And so that's what I'm working on. I've written like chapters of what might be a collection of short stories or maybe fiction or maybe even a memoir. But it's a different part of your head that you have to use when you're writing like longer prose versus the poetry. And so I think I have like one more collection of poetry in me before I move into longer prose. Yeah.
And one more question I think I meant to ask earlier actually is, I'm curious, do you ever have men read Milk and Honey? And it's interesting because it was actually a man that gave me Milk and Honey to read because he loved it so much. But I'm curious whether it does receive a reception occasionally where it makes them feel defensive, like having read it. Is that something that you've experienced or come across?
I haven't come across it firsthand, but I know it's there because of like the negative criticism. A lot of it does come from guys. And so no one has come up to me and said, I read it and it sucked and I hate you.
Yeah.
But I mean, I expected that. And so I would get so much anxiety when I had to do book signings and a man would walk up to me. I was like, my body would tighten. I'm like, here I go. Okay, I have to like defend this thing. And then suddenly they would say lovely things and I was so confused by it. And so I think it's good. I'm like lucky that a lot of men have actually, and I think men, like people were writing articles like very early on saying that this is a book that every woman needs to read. And like
that drove me nuts.
I
On
know.
Amazon, it's like stored under like women's fiction or women's poetry or whatever. And
I'm like, no, it's like preaching to the choir. If only women read it.
Yes, yes.
Like,
that's exactly how I felt. I was like, please don't file it under that.
Yeah.
That's not what it is.
Exactly. And I'm like, if we're not changing minds and in this conversation has to be with men, then what's the point? And so what was amazing though was like a lot of men in India came out as compared to North America. Like a majority of the audience was guys, and I was like, this is so cool. And I had my own like very messed up ideas of what that audience was going to look like. So they surprised me entirely. Yeah. Wow. So there is like, they're embracing it, and a lot of older gentlemen who are like in their 40s and 50s.
Amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
So cool. Amazing. So on behalf of Ashdad Shelf, thank you so much, Rupi. This has been amazing. And before I let you go, I'm really curious, if you could pick a book for Ashdad Shelf, what would you recommend?
Okay. This was really hard to pick. Let's see. I would say I love Odes by Sharon Olds, and if you haven't read her, you have to read her. I haven't,
so
it's amazing. It's just a series of poems that are odes to different things that women have to deal with. Okay. And then there's The Color Purple by Alice Walker, which I feel like I read every
I chose that as like my second or third book for the club.
Oh,
I
already?
love that
book.
Yes, great choice.
So good.
Great choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we have that as one of our picks, so I'm glad we're on track.
Yeah.
But Odes, I will definitely go and find. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for having me.
No, this has been great. I'm so happy I got to meet you in person.
Me too.